guys, welcome back to the channel, welcome back to my nappy ass, dirty ass garage. But we've got a new bike here. I picked it up last weekend. It's a 2019 KTM 300 XC. It's the last 300 carbureted version in Arizona. I had to go down to Tucson to get it. It's basically totally stock right now. I've got a few parts here that I'm going to be putting on it here in this video, and then I've got a few more parts that are going to be showing up today, Monday, Tuesday of next week, and that'll be another video when I put those on. But I haven't ridden it yet except around the block. It's got about 0.2 hours on it right now. Totally stock, like I said, so I haven't even set up the suspension sag. I haven't set up the air forks. Haven't done anything. So we're going to do some of that today. I'll give you a walk around of the bike, kind of show you what comes on it from the factory. But they're pretty much ready to race, like they say. This is my second KTM. I had a 2004 250 EXC, which was a 4-stroke. In 2004, I got it then. This is my first, well, it's my second 2-stroke, but it's my first big bore 2-stroke, being a 300. My first one was actually my first dirt bike, which was like a 1992 Yamaha RT 180. And that was one of those pre-mix bikes where they've got the little separate oil tank, and then it mixes, it's got an injector and it injects the oil right into the fuel, into the carburetor. So that was my first experience with 2-stroke, and I just remember that they were so much lighter and agile, and I just loved the sound. And you know, mixing gas and hauling ass is a motto. It's a way of life if you're a 2-stroke fan. So I've had the 4-strokes. I've had a number of them. Between the first 2-stroke I had 3 or 4 4-strokes. I think I had a DRZ 400E Suzuki. I had that KTM 250 XC. My most recent bike was a Yamaha YZ 450F. It was a 2010, and then I sold that about 5 years ago, and then I just got this one here. So the 2020s are out. They had one there at the dealership. It was a TPI bike. So in 2019, or last year I guess, they introduced the 2019 XCW, which doesn't have the linkage in the rear. And it's got the headlight and the tail light. It's more like they used to call them the EXC, now it's the XCW, and the W stands for wideband, so it has a wideband transmission. That's essentially the same bike, except last year they introduced the 250 XCW with the TPI, which is transfer port injection, meaning it's fuel injected. It's got a computer on it, and the early reviews on them is that they weren't running really well, and the carbureted versions just ran so much better. And there's a number of upgrades you can do to these where you don't have to fiddle with them, and one of the things we're going to be doing today, I'll show you later on, is going to make it basically essentially a fuel injected bike. You set it and forget it. You just set it up and it'll run from 0 feet to 12,000 feet, you know, from sea level to as high as you can ride without changing jets or anything else. So I'm excited to get this thing going, get it set up. It's still really hot here in Phoenix, so I haven't had a really chance to go out and ride it here. Been busy with other things. My garage is really messy. We've been doing a lot of work around the house, projects and painting and stuff, so got to get that organized too. But overall, I'm excited to get it out on the trail, and I think we need to do some basic protection work first, get some things on first before we take it out there and screw it up. And KTM only offers a 30-day warranty, so I'm already 8 or 9 days into that, so I'm going to go ahead and void it right now with some engine work. Hopefully that goes smoothly, and let's get this started. Alright guys, so I'm going to show you the the passenger side of the bike right now, and kind of go over the features with you from the factory. So if you don't know the difference between an XC and an XCW, an XC is basically an SX, but the trail version of the SX. So it's the supercross bike, same suspension essentially, as far as I know. I know it's got rear linkage, just like a supercross bike. It's got the front air forks, just like the supercross bike. It's got the same motor, except, well, this is a 300, and the SX only comes up to a 250. So to give you the 300, to give you some more torque and stuff on the trail. So one of the reasons I wanted the 2019 was because after 2019 they got rid of the Kickstarter. Now it is electric start, but they do have the Kickstarter as a backup. So if your battery dies, your alternator or whatever it is that's making the power to charge the battery dies, there's some problem with your charging system, and you're out on the trail, or you're getting to the trail and you don't have one of those battery jumper things in your pocket, then you're going to be screwed. And so I wanted to get a Kickstarter because I'm I ride a lot alone or with maybe one other person. I don't want to have trouble out on the trail with my charging system. If I turn the bike off, I want to make sure I can turn it back on. So you've got the WP. It's not the PDS suspension. The PDS suspension is the rear shock on the XCWs that comes bolted directly to the swing arm. And in this case, you've got the linkage, which gives you a more progressive spring rate. It could be a straight rake spring, but because of the linkage, it gives you more progressive. It's kind of the same concept with mountain bikes. So that's important to give you that supple plush feeling at the beginning of the stroke and that real bottom out resistance at the top of the stroke when you're really jumping it or hitting, coming off cliffs or boulders or whatever you're doing on the trail, because this is an enduro bike. So being a two-stroke, you've got the silencer here, which obviously is it's all right. I mean, I guess it probably sounds good for what it is. If you were to take a rod or a screwdriver and you stuck it down in here, it would go all the way in, and the reason it does is because this KTMs don't come factory with a spark arrestor. So it's a silencer, but it doesn't have a spark arrestor, meaning that you can't ride it on US Forest Service trails, you can't ride it on BLM land, you pretty much can't ride it anywhere, any OHV area. And if you do and you get caught, you'll get a big ticket. Because they don't want you starting a forest fire with your dirt bike. So first thing I had to do off the bat was I had to order a new silencer. I'll be showing you that here in a little bit. It's going to be going on in replacement of this. I've also got a new pipe coming. You can't really see it here, but this pipe has a big dent, a big flat spot in it from the factory. And some people have thought that that was, like it fell over at the factory or in shipping, and so dealerships were calling the factory and saying, why is there a dent in my pipe? And it's just a design feature. It probably, from what I've been told, that this pipe is actually pretty well tuned from the factory for power. So I ordered an FMF fatty factory pipe, so it's a replacement pipe that pretty much does the same thing, but it gives you a little bit more power throughout the entire power band, not just down low, not down up high, but everywhere. And with these two-stroke pipes, if you don't know a lot about them, because they have a certain shape, the expansion chamber has a certain shape to get that power out of the motor. You need to keep it dent-free, and you need to keep it smooth and the way it is now, because otherwise it'll screw up your power. So I got a protector on the way. It's a carbon fiber P3 protector for the factory fatty that I'm putting on here that's going to keep dents out of that. Here's your rear brake. If you don't know anything about motorcycles, you got your rear brake here. This is your front brake, your clutch lever, stop button, start button. Pretty simple. Your gear shift is on the other side. So let's see. This bike comes with a key in the carburetor. I think it's a 38 mil. They used to run a 36 before 2017. They went to a 38, and the reviews on it have been kind of mixed. People think that the 36 ran better, but what I'm going to talk to you later on is about the Electron carburetor. There's also, I forget the name of the competition for Electron, but Electron has a slide mechanism in it. There's no jets, so it'll run. It's also a 38 millimeter carb. And it'll run from sea level to as high as you can go without having to change the tuning pretty much. Let's see what else. Here's your foot pegs that they retract back. I'm going to try these and see how good they are. I might go to something aftermarket like a titanium scar foot peg or something like that. They make little protectors for your slave cylinder here for the rear brake. They also make protectors for just about everything. You can see this bike doesn't come with a skid plate. We're going to put one of those on. This right here on this bike, at least on all the KTM two-strokes, is your power valve adjustment. So if you want it to open the power valve at a lower throttle and get you on the pipe and get you all that power, you would turn this counterclockwise. Now they set it from the factory. I'm going to try it from the factory. It's supposed to come out at a certain RPM, and it says that in your manual. So you can check in there. There's also multiple springs you can get for this. This has a yellow spring in it from the factory. You can also run a red spring, which is a softer spring. It means it'll open the power valve sooner. And then if you've got a green spring in there, it's stiffer, so it won't open it till later. And that might, for some people, gives you a little bit smoother power delivery, especially on the trail. If you're doing a lot of technical trail riding, a lot of slow, you don't want to just wide open and just flip off the back of the bike. So, what else? So the standard fuel tank on this bike is like 2.8 gallons, I think. which is probably, it actually gets smaller on the TPI. So that was another disadvantage of going to TPI, is that they make it smaller because they have more crap in here for the fuel injection. More complication, less fuel, just another reason I don't want to go TPI. So the seat, I've been told that this is hard as a rock and it feels hard as a rock. A lot of people would just throw a seat cover on here. Some people replace the seat. I'm not going to spend $300 or $400 for a new seat. So what I'm going to do is probably ride it the way it is, and if I don't like it, I'll put a new cover on there with some more grip or some more cushion. So one of the differences between the KTM and the Husqvarna, because it's basically the same bike, is one of the differences is the KTM is a little bit more expensive, and it's ready to race because it comes with the best parts according to them. And one of those things, which is definitely a great upgrade from Husqvarna, is it comes with the Brembo brakes from the factory. So I don't think that I'm going to have to upgrade these rotors or calipers. I think it's going to be perfect for me off the bat. And I weighed myself this morning. I'm 239 without gear. So I'm a big guy. You know, most of these supercross riders are like 150, 160, 170. So I'm a little bit more than that, obviously. And this is basically a supercross bike. So without a doubt, I'm going to have to firm up the rear suspension. And so what I did was I got a spanner tool so I can adjust the preload on the spring. And generally that preload from the factory is, I think it's 8 to 10 millimeters of spring preload. And you measure the spring when it's unloaded, and then you, on the bench, and then you put it on the shock, and you tighten that down until you've got 8 to 10 millimeters. And if you have the correct spring rate, it'll be right in that, your sag will be right in the correct area when you've got that 8 to 10. So I had to upgrade to a 5.2 kilogram per inch. I don't know. It's a bigger spring. It's a 5.2. I got it from Slavens Racing. Slavens is probably the last word on KTM performance. Jeff Slavens is out of Colorado Springs. SlavensRacing.com, I believe. You can check them out if you have a KTM or a Husqvarna. They literally have every part you could think of. The guy has tried and tested everything. He's got a great YouTube channel. He's got all kinds of videos on all of his products. He pretty much only sells and rides the best stuff. And he's an OBS guy, so you can call him or any of his guys there, and they'll give you really good advice, and they'll pretty much shoot it to you straight. So they're not out to make a buck. Well, they are, but they want the best for their customers. So getting a lot of stuff from them. What else? In Arizona, we don't have OHV stickers like they do in California, where I'm used to riding, or I used to ride when I was a kid. And you would just put that on your fork, and it would show your registration number. Well, now in Arizona, they passed a law about 10 years ago, 2009, saying that you had to have a license plate, an RV plate, on any quad, dirt bike, whatever. If you were off-road on a forest, BLM, OHV area, whatever, you have to prove that your vehicle is registered with this little stupid plate. And on a supercross bike or whatever, a bike like this, unlike the XCW, which comes with a rear tail light and a like a little mount for your license plate, this doesn't have anything. And the law says you have to have it in plain view, so that law enforcement officers or whatever fishing game guys can see your plate from behind you. So that would mean I would have to get some kind of mount, and they do sell them, and they're expensive. They're like a couple $100, and you bolt it on here, and you put your plate right here. And other guys I've seen, they'll bolt it to the top, they'll bolt it to the bottom. These two methods don't really, I don't think, qualify. I used to ride after 2009 when I had that YZ. I had a plate, but I would keep it in my Camelback, and if I got pulled over, I'd pull it out. See, I got the current sticker. Here's my plate. Run my registration. Have my insurance documents. Never had a problem with it, but I also never really ran into a game and fish officer or one of those other guys that's enforcing the laws out on the trail. So, I've heard if you don't have it in display, you can rack up to $1,000 in fines. So that's the problem with this bike for trail riding, is it doesn't have the plate thing, the plate holder. What else? I'm going to put on rear rotor guard, protect my rotor. Rear sprocket, I believe, is magnesium or aluminum. Some guys will put on a KTM Power Parts. It's got a steel inner, and then it's got an aluminum outer, or aluminum inner, I'm sorry, and a steel outer. So when the outer rings, you just take it off, put on the new one, and you save weight and you get strength. I'm going to run this one until it's pretty much worn out. Same with the chain. No reason to sell, unnecessary money. Also, I've got a Fastway, Pro Motor Billet Fastway linkage guard on the way. to protect the linkage, because that's very expensive if you break that. Got the skid plate we're going to put on today. More cooling, higher pressure radiator cap. I got a fan kit on the way from Trail Tech. Hand guards we're going to put on, and I'll show you the other side of the bike. Alright guys, so here on the driver's side of the bike, I'm going to show you some of the things that it comes stock with. I don't know if you can see this on here, but KTM comes standard now, or they have since 17 I believe, with ODI grips. If you do go to the Electron carb, you need to run a Domino plus 1 inch throttle cable assembly, and those actually work with the ODI grips, as do the handguards that I get that I'm putting on, because these handguards here, they're not going to do anything to protect my clutch or brake lever if I jump the bike over. I'm going to put those on. Those are by Cycra, I believe. Pro Bend. So here on the driver's side, you can see you have a chain guide, but it's not as tough as you would like. So putting on a TD, was it TD Designs? TM Designs factory 2 chain slide. I'm not doing that today because I don't have it. Also, these tabs can break off, so I got a tab protector, a billet one from, I believe it's TM Designs, maybe Pro Billet, I'm not sure. Stock chain, I don't know if it's an O-ring chain or what, I'm not really sure. I know I'm gonna change it out at some point once it wears out. It's got a kickstand from the factory, which is kind of nice, and a little keeper here so it doesn't bounce down on you. This is the air box, so to change, you don't have to take the seat off anymore. You can literally just pop this plastic piece off, and it'll tell you KTM recommends twin air filters. So here's a twin air from the factory. I got a second one from the dealer, so I can always have one cleaned and oiled up, ready to go in there. It's important that you make sure you have enough oil on these. You can really grenade your engine if you get dirt in it, so never have too much oil in your filter. Go ahead and try and put this back on. You can see it snaps in here, and you've got 2 little plastic tabs that keep it in. There you go. So you want to make sure that that's snapped in. 1, 2 snaps, and then the little retainer thing. So that's your air box. Some of these guys will drill holes in this thing to get a little bit more airflow. I'm not sure it's necessary. Guys who've never ridden a dirt bike or a motorcycle in general, your gear shifter, it's 1 down, and then it's neutral, and then I think it's 4 up. I think it's 5-speed. No, it could be a 6-speed, I don't know. I haven't even ridden the bike, so I believe it's a 5-speed. Your fuel petcock shut off, so if you're going to remove the tank, you just turn this thing off. This is the off position. This is the on position, and it'll show you on, and then this is off. It says it right there. Carburetor. Your clutch, so it's got a hydraulic clutch on it, meaning that instead of having a cable, you have a hydraulic line that comes down, and then there's a little slave cylinder right here to push your clutch in and out. So I've got a little Enduro engineering guard coming for that, as recommended by some guys out on YouTube. So I'm going to be protecting that. Let's see, what else? So the fuel tank, the cap actually has this button you got to push in, and then you can turn it, quarter turn, and it releases. So that's pretty nice. You don't have to screw the thing on and off. You just push it down, boom, click it over, and there's a positive lash letting you know it's like that. What else? This comes with a 50, I believe a 50 tooth sprocket from the factory. So a lot of guys go to a 51 for some more low end. Some guys go down to like a 48 for more top end. It's a pretty easy adjustment. What else? So where the pipe goes into the cylinder, there's actually a flange, and if you drop the bike and you grab that pipe and it punches it into the cylinder, you can actually crack your cylinder. So what I was told is spend 30 instead of $1,000 on a new cylinder, spend 30 or 40 bucks and get a flange guard. They're back ordered nationally, but I think I found some from AOMC.com, which is KTMparts.com. They'll be sending that to me. They make them in orange for KTM and blue for Husqvarna, since it's the same bike. Also Tusk, which is a brand that's owned and operated by Rocky Mountain ATV motorcycle out of Utah. They sell a version, but only up to the 2016 bikes. 17 and 19, or now 20. They don't have any. So, what else? I think that's pretty much it. There is an hour meter, if you can see that. It's right up here underneath the bar from the factory, so you don't need to have an hour. You don't need to buy an hour meter. That's pretty much it. Black wheels. I think these are Excel wheels. Don't know. It's got, let me see, it's got Dunlop tires. Yeah, it's got Dunlop. What are these? These are Geo. So it's got a Geomax AT81 on the rear, and then probably an 81 on the front. So that's it. That's pretty much a walk around on the bike. I'll give you maybe an up close look of it here, and then I'm going to go get some parts and we're going to start doing an install. Alright guys, so I forgot to mention there's two things they give you from the factory or from the dealer when you buy this bike brand new. They give you your manual. It comes in this little nylon bag. I think it's got some tools in it. Let me see. Yep, so they give you this manual. And you've got all of your paperwork in here. Ooh, sticker for the garage. So KTM has left the spring in the front fork and they've gone to the WP AER 48 fork. I believe the 48 is a 48 millimeter tube. AER is air, that's how they say it. So they give you some stickers. I don't know what this is, probably a little catalog for some gear. KTM sells a lot of accessories if you're interested. One of your manuals here. Oh, this is like a book for keeping notes, and then this is your actual manual, the owner's manual, 2019, 250, 250, 300. Let's see. They also give you some lever guards. I think this is the power valve spring that they give you. A little tool, some extra bolts. I'll have to look and see what this is. It says footrest L&R CPL. So I don't know what that means. Some more warning stickers. This bike is covered in warning stickers from the factory. I'll show you some of those. And some more stickers for your fridge or whatever. And a little KTM pin. That's cool. Alright, so the second thing that they give you here is they give you the WP air shock pump. So you can change the pressure in your front shock. And there's all kinds of specs in your manual as to sag and spring rate and preload and your front fork. So this is a air fork pump. Open it up here so I can show you what it looks like. So that's pretty nice. They do sell these. You can buy them if you don't have one, but it's got a digital readout on it, battery in the back, and that's how you adjust your front fork pressure. And if anybody can tell me what WP stands for, I'd appreciate it, because I really don't know. Never thought about it. Also on the XCWs, they call the rear suspension PDS. Don't know what that means either. I'm embarrassed to say. Alright, we're going to get working on the installs.